It is at the felt level, when individuals become emotionally involved, that parties experience anxiety, tension, frustration, or hostility. Stage 3. Intentions. Intentions intervene between people's perceptions and emotions, and their overt behavior. They are decisions to act in a given way. We separate out intentions as a distinct stage because we have to infer the other's intent to know how to respond to his or her behavior. A lot of conflicts are escalated simply because one party attributes the wrong intentions to the other. There is also typically a great deal of slippage between intentions and behavior, so behavior does not always accurately reflect a person's intention. Stage 4. Behavior. When most people think of conflict situations, they tend to focus on stage 4 because this is where conflicts become visible. The behavior stage includes the statements, actions, and reactions made by the conflicting parties, usually as overt attempts to implement their own intentions. As a result of miscalculations or unskilled enactments, overt behaviors sometimes deviate from these original intentions. It helps to think of stage 4 as a dynamic process of interaction. For example, you make a demand on me. I respond by arguing. You threaten me. I threaten you back, and so on. All conflicts exist somewhere along this continuum. At the lower part are conflicts characterized by subtle, indirect, and highly controlled forms of tension, such as a student questioning in class a point the instructor has just made. Conflict intensities escalate as they move upward along the continuum until they become highly destructive. Strikes, riots, and wars clearly fall in this upper range. For the most part, you should assume conflicts that reach the upper ranges of the continuum are almost always dysfunctional. Functional conflicts are typically confined to the lower range of the continuum. Stage 5. Outcomes. Conflict may result to several outcomes. It can be functional in that the conflict results in an improvement in the group's performance, or it may be dysfunctional in that it hinders group performance. Conflicts is constructive when it improves the quality of decisions, stimulates creativity and innovation, encourages interest and curiosity among group members, provides the medium through which problems can be aired and tensions released, and fosters an environment of self-evaluation and change. Dimensions of conflict handling intentions. Conflict is often best understood by examining the consequences of various behaviors at moments in time. These behaviors are usefully categorized according to conflict styles. Each style is a way to meet one's needs in a dispute but may impact other people in different ways. Competing is a style in which one's own needs are advocated over the needs of others. It relies on an aggressive style of communication, low regard for future relationships, and the exercise of coercive power. Accommodating, also known as smoothing, is the opposite of competing. Persons using this style yield their needs to those of others. Trying to be diplomatic, they tend to allow the needs of the group to overwhelm their own, which may not ever be stated, as preserving the relationship is seen as most important. Avoiding is a common response to the negative perception of conflict. Perhaps if we don't bring it up, it will blow over, we say to ourselves. But generally, all that happens is that feelings get pent up, views go unexpressed, and the conflict festers until it becomes too big to ignore. Like a cancer that may well have been cured if treated early, the conflict grows and spreads until it kills the relationship. Because needs and concerns go unexpressed, people are often confused, wondering what went wrong in a relationship. Compromising is an approach to conflict in which people gain and give in a series of trade-offs. While satisfactory, compromise is generally not necessarily satisfying. We each remain shaped by our individual perceptions of our needs and don't necessarily understand the other side very well. We often retain a lack of trust and avoid risk-taking involved in more collaborative behaviors. Collaborating is the pooling of individual needs and goals toward the common goal, often called win-win problem solving. Collaboration requires assertive communication and cooperation in order to achieve a better solution than either individual could have achieved alone. It offers the chance for consensus, the integration of needs, and the potential to exceed the budget of possibilities that previously limited our views of the conflict. It brings new time, energy, and ideas to resolve the dispute meaningfully. Bargaining strategies. There are two general approaches to negotiation: distributive bargaining and integrative bargaining. Distributive bargaining's most identifying feature is that it operates under zero-sum conditions. That is, any gain I make is at your expense and vice versa. So the essence of distributive bargaining is negotiating over who gets what share of a fixed pie. By fixed pie, we mean a set amount of goods or services to be divided up. When the pie is fixed, or parties believe it is, they tend to bargain distributively. When you are engaged in distributive bargaining, research consistently shows one of the best things you can do is make the first offer, and make it an aggressive one. One reason for this is that making the first offer shows power. Individuals in power are much more likely to make initial offers, speak first at meetings, and thereby gain the advantage. Another reason, the anchoring bias, tend to fixate on initial information. Once that anchoring point is set, they fail to adequately adjust it based on subsequent information. A savvy negotiator sets an anchor with the initial offer, and scores of negotiation studies show that such anchors greatly favor the person who sets it. In contrast to distributive bargaining, integrative bargaining operates under the assumption that one or more settlements can create a win-win solution. Of course, in terms of intra-organizational behavior, all things being equal, integrative bargaining is preferable to distributive bargaining because the former builds long-term relationships. Integrative bargaining bonds negotiators and allows them to leave the bargaining table feeling they have achieved a victory. Distributive bargaining, however, leaves one party a loser. It tends to build animosities and deepen divisions that over repeated bargaining episodes when the losing party feels positive about the negotiation outcome. He is much more likely to bargain cooperatively in subsequent negotiations. This points to an important advantage of integrative negotiations. Even when you win, you want your opponent to feel good about the negotiation. There are ways to achieve more integrative outcomes. Individuals who bargain in teams reach more integrative agreements than those who bargain individually. This happens because more ideas are generated when more people are at the bargaining table. So try bargaining in teams. Another way to achieve higher joint gain settlements is to put more issues on the table. The more negotiable issues introduced into a negotiation, the more opportunity for log rolling, where issues are traded off because people have different preferences. This creates better outcomes for each side than if they negotiated each issue individually.